film.
Oh, I did from Farewell My Lovely. I went and did King Kong. Again, you had a great cast. Charlie Grodin and Jeff Bridges and Jessica. You knew Jessica was a star the moment she walked on the set, and she was brilliant. I mean, she's just such a sweet lady. I mean, you couldn't ask for a nicer person than Jessica Lange.
She's absolutely stunning to look at as well in that
Oh,
movie.
she's gorgeous. She was absolutely gorgeous. And the camera loved her,
Yes.
And the problem was that she almost she almost ruined her career because the this the director and tried to make her look like too much like Marilyn Monroe, and it actually didn't do her any favors. And she was going to school and stuff, and they came to her to do Postman Rings twice. When we were having breakfast in Nate and Al's one morning, she said, they offered me Postman Rings twice with Jack Nicholson. I said, do it. What are you, crazy? What are you waiting for? She said, they don't want De Laurentiis involved, and he owned her contract.
Oh.
And they didn't want him involved. So I said, I'll tell you what. You go down and see him in 3 days. Just call him on the phone and tell him you want to see him. And she went down to see him, and he went and got her portfolio, took her contract and tore it in half and gave it to her and said, I want to wish you all the luck in the world, and please tell your friend that I gave you this back.
Oh, wow.
And
That's
she said, what
nice.
did you do? And I said, I didn't know. What are you talking about? She said, Jack. So Dino was, gave her a contract back. She did Postman. She became a huge star. Was,
Wow. So what was Dino De Laurentiis like?
Dino was a good guy. He wasn't a bad guy, but he listened to what I had to say, and he did what I asked him to do, and he gave her a contract back. And she was free, and she became a star, boy. God bless her.
Well, she certainly took off with that.
Rosen Rings
But
twice made her a star, boy. She was great. She was great in that film. She had the talent, whatever she did Tootsie with Dustin.
Dustin Hoffman.
She had great talent.
Oh yeah, very sensual on screen. But any memories of Jeff Bridges?
Jeffrey was a good guy. I mean, Jeffrey and I became good friends, and he was again. He's another great actor.
Mm-hmm.
With King Kong Charlie Grodin's a great actor. Jeff is a great actor, and there were a lot of individual character actors that were in that film that were pretty good actors, boy, that rounded that film out.
Yeah, you had your buddy Bonefish, the Bond villain Julius Harris.
Julius Harris and Eddie Lauder, and
Uh-huh.
there were some good people in the film. It was we had a great script. It was a great script, a great cast. Just the director wasn't that great.
How did you get involved with that? Did you have like a screen test, or how did?
No, they just called me up and asked me. They offered me one of 4 roles.
Mm-hmm.
And my agent, I had an agent at that time, Meyer, Michigan, and we took Joe Perko role, and it worked out pretty well. Renee Bergenois was in the film, was another great actor.
I mean, you have like I think the first line in the movie. When you were making the movie, did you have an idea of how Kong was going to be presented?
I knew it was going to be a good film because we did some great stuff in it,
Right. Did you think it was going to be a robot the whole time, or a man in a suit?
Well, you only saw them together once. They only actually had the monkey all together one time. There was what's his name was in a suit.
Rick Baker.
Rick Baker did a great job. I mean, they had the arm where Jesse sat in his palm of his hand, and they seen different parts of the monkey, but they only had the whole monkey put together at the end of the movie. The only time the whole thing was together. Jessica, when she was sitting in the palm of his hand, and his finger was coming down and stroking her, the mechanical strings broke on it and actually hit her in the head. The finger fell down on her.
From what I read, there were like Italian guys that were doing certain effects, and they didn't get the direction in English as quickly as they needed to, and sometimes would put her in a lot of danger in that mechanical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's absolutely true. I mean, and every time you got to understand something. Kong cost about 38 million to do. They could have done it probably for 16,
Sure.
because every time you make a mistake, and you got to come back and reshoot, that's like cost you 3 or 4 times more than the original day of shooting. And
Well, I know.
the hydraulics on the monkey kept breaking.
Right.
They had a lot of trouble with the mechanical side of it.
Now, I know that that movie was announced at the end of 1975 for a Christmas 1976 release. Was it a rushed production? Was it a stressful production?
You know, we okay. Well, like we went to Hawaii to shoot the smoke screen, you know,
Oh yeah.
and the scene going through the smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to Hawaii for 3 days. We were there for 33 days because the director, and we never got the smoke screen there. We shot that in Malibu.
Mm-hmm.
They laid the fog up in Malibu where they could control the weather better. The wind kept blowing it out in Hawaii. But we shot up in the mountains and the waterfalls and stuff like that, which was great. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Shot over in Kauai. We shot in Honolulu Bay, which is on the other side of Kauai, and
Mm-hmm.
the only way you could get to it was by helicopter or by walking over the mountain or by boat. Yeah. So we used to fly in with helicopter. Flew in one morning, and a couple were celebrating their wedding in sleeping bags. And they woke up to a movie crew, which was
That,
then they thought it was great because they got a great lunch out of it and everything else. And they
oh
got to talk
yeah.
to Jessica and Jessica, and it was terrific. But the scenery in Hawaii was gorgeous. My God! But then the Great Wall, that was on the back lot of MGM.
Now, what was that like? That set looked huge, and it's amazing when you think about how many people probably worked to build that. Was it as large in person as it
Oh
appears on
yeah, it was
screen?
gigantic. They built it on the back lot of MGM, which is a housing project now. It was a great. We had a lot of time. We worked on that film for 9 months. That was a long shoot.
Well, I think it's a great movie, and it's actually gone on 4K. It came out at a time when I think remakes weren't in vogue or sequels, not like they are now
Yeah,
anyway. And so everybody kind of thought, oh, what are they doing, messing with this classic? But I think it's a classic in and of itself, and it's
in
got
itself, it's a
a
classic in
huge
itself. Yeah.
it's got a huge growing fan base, and a lot of people that subscribe to my channel love the King Kong movie. It's just been there my whole life, and it's always just been fun.
The casting, the casting people came up to me and the writer and said, God, we wasted a great talent you have we should have had a better role for you. I said,
It's still a great. You're memorable in it. Definitely memorable. Again, you have the first line in the movie. Oh, you even got to carry Jessica Lange from the life raft into the boat. That had to been, not the worst job in the world.
gorgeous, yeah.
One thing I remember about you the most, of course, is your demise. You're in that classic log scene. What was that set like? What was it like filming that?
That was the last shot of the film. That was the last thing that we shot. That was at the MGM Esther Williams pool.
Wow.
When they shot that scene, it was great. It was very traumatic. A lot of very good traumatic scenes in that film that they did well.
Right. The director, I'm sure he was under a lot of stress and whatnot, being in charge of all of that, and having Dino De Laurentiis probably.
Dino's son was the executive producer.
Federico De Laurentiis,
Yeah,
I believe his name was.
what a nice kid. He's the one that died. He was a nice kid, boy. I like him.
Yeah.
And he and Guillermin just didn't get on. We were working in Kauai and it was hot, and he would have a cooler with beer in it, and he had a lock on it, and no one else was allowed to drink beer or lunch or anything else, just him. So I one day brought like several cases of beer down for the crew. And on the lunchtime, I said, "Have a drink, man." Hell with it. We were in Kauai, and we worked on a Sunday. Now you're on location. So you're already on golden time, yeah? And we're
Yeah.
working on a Sunday, and we worked 15 straight hours. We had 8 straight meal penalties. Or if you go beyond, if you're supposed to have a break time for your meals, and if you go a minute beyond, it's 1 meal penalty, another half hour, another half hour. We had 8 straight meal penalties and never turned over a camera. But John was so adamant that he was going to get this fog scene laid down. And they kept telling him, the island people said, you're never going to get that shot today because the currents, the winds are just never going to let it settle. It's going to keep blowing out.
Wow.
So we wound up shooting it in Malibu.
I do like the talking about direction. I do like the scene that introduces Kong. I think that's really well done in the 76.
Well, there was a lot of great scenes in the movie. I mean, John wasn't a total disaster. He was talented, but he just didn't. I never had a problem, but the other people did.
Well, I appreciate you enduring that shoot because I love that movie. And tell me what it was like once you've made this movie. This is your second film, and the hype behind that movie. They were trying to outgross Jaws, and there were ads everywhere. Time magazine did a cover story on it. What was it like just being a part of that? How exciting was that, or did you just kind of move on?
It's just. My career, just one film after the other after that. It was good.